Some breaking news for you. In fact, Iranian officials have confirmed that Iran's President Raisi and Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian has died in the helicopter crash. The Iranian president was traveling in a mountainous area of the East Azerbaijan province with Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian and following a visit to the neighboring Azerbaijan to inaugurate a dam when the crash happened. Bad weather was blamed for the crash, but as we were just discussing with our esteemed panel of guests, that there could be more involved, one that has to be investigated thoroughly. And this bad weather, which was also described initially by the media as a hard landing, and said that the conditions were complicating the rescue efforts as well. Now, the incident, which involved one helicopter in a convoy of 3, was described by Iranian state television as an accident. And currently, we have with us News9's Aditya Raj Kaul joining us on the broadcast, continuing to in fact be with us on the broadcast to discuss this in further depths. Aditya, we have gotten confirmation that President Raisi as well as the foreign minister have passed away in the helicopter crash. And well, this definitely puts a lot of question marks, as we were just discussing with our panel of guests, including you. Quite a few tough times, quite a few tough days ahead for Iran, both domestically as well as in the geopolitical arena. Well, we will try and re-establish that connection with Aditya, but right now we also have our colleague Kabir Naqvi joining us on the broadcast. Kabir, quite an important and crucial information that comes to the fore with Raisi's demise. How challenging is this for Iran at this current under the current circumstances, especially both domestically, given the rumblings that have already started existing inside, as well as geopolitically with the war with Israel?
No, Shreya, you've absolutely, pulled apart those factors very rightly. First and foremost, let's tell the viewers of exactly what we're tracking and picking up. Iran's Mehr news agency, just this in, says all passengers of the helicopter carrying, of course, President Ibrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian, and of course the Imam of the Breeze, another important person, was on that chopper. All these people have been martyred. Foreign Minister, you've got the President over there, and the Imam of the Breeze, which is also one of those biggest cities near the Azerbaijan border, about 70 to 100 kilometers near about that, where the chopper was heading towards as well. Inclement weather, bad weather, severe snow conditions, which hampered rescue operations ever since the intervening night since yesterday and today. Officials were on the ground, authorities were on the ground. Turkey pushed in, their drones and various rescue paraphernalia. Russia scrambled their own jets. But at this point in time, this is what's picking up. The Red Crescent, Iran's own Red Crescent, it finally made its way to the crash site. It found the chopper completely burnt. The first signs and the first statement that came out of the Red Crescent was that the condition does not look good. And this is the Red Crescent and the officials reaching the crash site several hours after the crash actually took place. Now, President Ibrahim Raisi, he was actually, inaugurating a dam that you were just telling the viewers about yourself. And it was a joint project with Azerbaijan. Armenia was also quick to send in, their solidarity and support when it came to rescue efforts. But primarily, most of the West world, quote unquote, was watching closely. And that's all that they did. Even the President of the United States, Joe Biden, he was apprised about what exactly had happened. Prime Minister Narendra Modi here back at home, he took to the social media to, send his message in solidarity and in support of what has happened in Iran. But you said geopolitics, how is that going to be affected? Before that, Shreya, we'll have to wait and
find out how the power struggle is going to, take its own course in Iran as well. Iran-backed proxies, what does the IRGC mean? Ayatollah Khomeini, he's 85 years old himself. What happens in the case when Ayatollah Khomeini passes away? That is also something one has to take a look at as well. 63 years old is Ibrahim Raisi, or was from the information that we're picking up right now. Amir Abdullahian, the foreign minister, he was doing marathon meetings with, counterparts from Jordan, from Iraq, from all the places in the West Asian geopolitical crisis, with Israel as well. And now he's out of the equation. So we'll have to wait and find out as to how geopolitics is going to play out on the global stage. But big news that we're tracking at the moment, the Red Crescent and the authorities, all the officials, they've made their way to the chopper. They found the chopper finally. It's completely burnt. There is no sign of life near the wreckage. Ibrahim Raisi, Foreign Minister, Abdullah Haim, Imam of the Breeze, well, it seems like they've been martyred according to the Iranian Meher agency.
Right, Kabir. In fact, if we just continue to keep our focus on the remnants that have been found by the Red Crescent members as well, if you could just tell us whether the remains of the bodies have been found yet, because they had been tracking the helicopter crash site for a long time. Is there any update on that front so far?
Yeah, I do understand. I myself am itching to tell the viewers as to what I'm picking up on social media as well. But when we're looking at something so delicate and sensitive as the president of a country like Iran, amidst the geopolitical crisis in West Asia between Israel and Gaza and Hamas, and we all know that Hamas is an Iran-backed proxy. We shouldn't jump the gun. We must tread very carefully. So in terms of what we're picking up from our corroborated sources right now, the signs of bodies and mortal remains hasn't been spoken of as of now. Even yesterday, even as the crash happened and the world got to know about the crash, people did not stick their neck out and did not go out on a limb saying that the president was no more, that the foreign minister was no more. And that happened for several hours because the rescue teams weren't able to make their way to the crash site. Even as we're talking and breaking this news to our viewers that the Iranian president, Ibrahim Raisi, is no more. Foreign Minister Amir Abdullah Haim has also succumbed to this particular crash. On the chopper was another important personality, was the Imam of the Breeze. This is exactly what we're picking up, and I'm going to quote the Reuters agency saying, Foreign Minister and Ibrahim Raisi, well, they've been cleared dead in this helicopter crash, the helicopter wreckage. In terms of the mortal remains here, we still don't know as to if the physical remains have been found on the ground or not. Again, disinformation, miscommunication, we shouldn't lead into that, shouldn't jump the gun. Only corroborated news points here on News9.
Right, Kabir. Well, thank you for putting that into perspective for our viewers and giving us all the latest updates into this particular story. Well, as it is, as we have spelled it out for our viewers out there, which is the demise of the Iranian president as per reports that's come in. The helicopter crash, all three members were martyred in the helicopter crash is the exact report that we are bringing to you, the exact quote that's come to us that we are bringing to you here on News9 Live. Chopper that's crashed in Iran, which was carrying the president Ibrahim Raisi as well as their foreign minister and the Imam. Iranian officials have confirmed that Iran's President Raisi and foreign minister Amir Abdullahian has died in the helicopter crash. In fact, all three have been martyred. These were the exact quotes that came in from the Reuters agency. The Iranian president was traveling in a mountainous area of East Azerbaijan province with foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian following a visit to the neighboring Azerbaijan to inaugurate a dam when the crash happened. Now, as we speak of the crash, initially it has been said that bad weather is being blamed for the crash. In fact, as the media has described it as hard landing and said that the conditions were complicating the rescue efforts, as you can see in the visuals, thick fog blankets that have engulfed the area. Now, the incident, which involved one helicopter in a convoy of 3, was described by Iranian state television as an accident. But again, there are conspiracies going around with regards to whether indeed it was an accident, because the reports that have also come out is that the helicopter, which was one out of the 3, the other 2 remain unscathed, crashed into a mountain peak. So we have with us Kabir Naqvi also joining us on the broadcast to bring us more details on this and can continue the discussion. But remember, for all of you ladies and gentlemen out there, the crash comes in at a time of growing dissent within Iran. So if we look at the domestic situation, the domestic circumstances that are prevailing currently in Iran, over an array of political, social and economic crisis, Iran's clerical rulers face international pressure over Tehran's disputed nuclear program and its deepening military ties with Russia during the war in Ukraine. In fact, Raisi, who was 63, was elected president in 2021 and since taking office had ordered tightening of morality laws, overseen a bloody crackdown on anti-government protests and pushed hard into nuclear talks with world powers. Another point that was being uh, flashed by our guests. Right now we have Kabir joining us. Kabir, again, if we just get into the depths of the internal discontentment that is currently brewing within Iran, the tough times that lie ahead of after President Raisi's demise, who indeed are we looking at as his next successor, though the vice president shall be stepping in as the interim president into the shoes of the interim president's role. But who are we looking at as the probable candidates for the president's role?
Well, you know what, Sriya? According to the constitution and the rules and legislation in place in Iran, there is no room for any kind of vacuum. Because, of course, if all goes, awry, you always have the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who's going to take charge. But the problem here is that he himself is 85 years old. Now, you rightly pointed out, it is going to be the vice president that becomes the interim president. And that too also happens only with the nod and the go ahead of Ayatollah Khamenei. After this happens, there's about a 30 to 40 day cooling period. And in about 50 days' time, fresh elections will have to take place. So either way, the IRGC or several other federal structures that are at play in Iran, the leadership is going to have no vacuum at all, if that answers your question at this point in time. Interesting to see who it's going to be. You're absolutely right, because a lot is at stake, like you pointed out. But at the moment, according to rules and legislation that is in place, I don't know per se, I'm not an expert on Iranian legislation and constitution, but I do understand that Ayatollah Khamenei will have the final say, and his own political moves will be exploited in this situation. But just to tell the viewers, and Shreya, you as well, you asked and were inquiring about the bodies. According to the drone footage that has now been captured, drone footage that has captured the wreckage of the chopper and the site. This is in Shogun near a copper mine. It's not a very habited area, like you can see from the visuals, which again we won't be able to put out on air until unless we receive them from a corroborated source. All of this going, hell-bent on social media. You know how digitization works these days. But an IRGC-affiliated news group has now said, after releasing a photo, that none of the bodies have been able to be identified because they're completely charred down to the core. President Ibrahim Raisi, Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian, and their entire entourage, they've been declared martyrs. They've all been killed in the helicopter crash, this in northwestern Iran. This is being corroborated by an IRGC-affiliated news agency called Sabreen News. At the same time, the semi-official Meher agency has confirmed that President Ibrahim Raisi has been killed in the chopper crash. The IRGC's Ashura division, and again IRGC is one of those important institutions when it comes to the safeguarding and security and defense and it's maritime prowess. All of that is on full display because of IRGC. IRGC's Ashura division commander has said that some of the dead bodies are burnt and cannot be identified at this point in time, Sriya.
Right, Kabir. Kabir, in fact, at this point, we were also discussing, as we've already discussed about domestically, how may this play out for Iran. If we also take a quick look with regards to the war that's been waged in between Iran and Israel as well, at the backdrop of the war that's continuing between Gaza and Israel, do you think there might be repercussions there as well, as Iran will be hell-bent on taking their eye off geopolitics for some time now till the entire domestic matter is resolved? Do you think Israel at this point might end up taking some sort of an advantage of the situation, or any particular repercussions that we are looking at given the current circumstances?
It is certain to shake things up internally and internationally as well. Firstly, internally, like we've just been talking about, the power struggle, it has already begun. What next for hardliner, loyalists of Ayatollah Khamenei if Ibrahim Raisi is unable to, take the office again, which it seems like is the likely scenario at this point in time. So what happens inside Iran? What happens outside Iran is going to be, again, interesting to look at how things are going to pan out, because Ayatollah Khamenei, even before the rescuers made their way to the crash point, had come out and said that no Security Council meeting was needed or required. You all should go out there and pray for Ibrahim Raisi, and rest assured, that political stability will continue to be there in Iran. Now, you pointed out to the West Asian conflict between Israel and Gaza. Israel authorities have come out and said that we've got no hands out here. Joe Biden, like I mentioned before, he in a statement by the White House has said that I've been apprised about what's happening in West Asia vis-a-vis Ibrahim Raisi's crash and now, well, subsequent death. But it is again important to note here, and it's going to be interesting to find out how people are going to react in the entire geopolitical fray here. Raisi was leading the charge of all the Iran-backed proxies. You have the Houthis, you have, Hamas in the Gaza Strip, you've got Houthis in Yemen, so many of these Iran-backed proxies across Syria and Iraq as well. The Hezbollah that's constantly attacking Israel as well. How will they now react to it? Because Ibrahim Raisi is that one person, one character, who after Israel's attack in Damascus on an IRGC guard said that we're going to retaliate, and they did retaliate. Iran launched that barrage of missiles into Israel. Many of them were attacked mid-air, but a few did land here and there, and it did send a big message. Even before it had crossed the airspace of Jordan, Iran had made their own statement, and they said, look, we've launched these rockets. This is because you attacked us in Damascus. We had promised there's going to be retaliation, and this is why this is happening. And probably they went back to their beds as well, even as the rockets made their way to Israel. Most of them were gunned down, but there was proper cacophony and catastrophe in the West Asian conflict as to what's going to happen. Is Israel now going to react? And many critics and geopolitical experts said that that's exactly what Iran wanted. They wanted Israel to react. Now, what's going to happen next? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. But at the moment, Raisi, Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian, well, they're no more, Sriya. All the bodies are burnt. They're completely charged to the core. The wreckage that we've seen, the drone footage that is out there on social media looks completely gruesome and horrific. What next for the leadership of Iran? What next for the geopolitical crisis in West Asia? Those are the big questions that need to be answered, Sriya.
Absolutely, Kabir. Kabir, thank you for bringing us all those details. And well, definitely quite an unfortunate crash that's taken place, with the end result being the demise of Iran's president as well as their foreign minister and their imam.